It's working. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming and being here for our second hour of the day. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to introduce our first speaker. We have the lovely Brandi Reynolds from Port Alberni speaking today. Her workshop or presentation is on peer outreach in Port Alberni. And Brandi is a peer, and she's the founder of Bridging the Gap in Port Alberni, which is a peer outreach organization. But she'll be telling you more about everything. I don't want to take away from her, but yeah, I'll be here for support, and I'll be watching the chat and everything too. But I'd like to turn it over to Brandi now and let her share with you her presentation. So, yay, Brandi!
Thanks. So my name is Brandi, and I got to do the territory thing for the first time in my life, and I think I'm also totally First Nations, but I still don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I'm on the Hoopachesset and T-Shot First Nations. Yeah, that's what I got.
Perfect.
Thanks. My girlfriend tried to help me, but I couldn't say it right. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of my background. I spent my life in Port Alberni. I spent about 6 years wandering the streets in Vancouver and in addiction since, how old was I? I started around 13, I guess. Trauma-induced addiction, and really took a hold, I think, like 21, 22, and I tried, like, I got married, I had kids, but I just ran from my trauma. I moved up north and tried, like, we bought a house and stuff, and I figured that if I had just left, then maybe my addiction would stop, but it definitely didn't. So it got way worse, I think, because I didn't have family to check on me and stuff. And so when I was 22, I was escorting and shooting dope and lost my husband and 2 little kids. I didn't lose them. I left them, I guess. And so the kids were in ministry and stuff. Then I spent 6 years hitchhiking all over BC and staying loaded. And I escorted, but soon I was just your Main and Hastings walking girl for a couple years, 2 years, I think. And then I got pregnant for the 3rd time. Well, more than that, sorry. I got pregnant on the streets, and I think I don't know, it was pretty miraculous anyways. I couldn't prostitute anymore because my body wasn't functioning properly. So I was like 5 months pregnant. So I came home. I came to Port Alberni and moved in with an old sugar daddy, and that didn't work. So he drove me back to Main and Hastings, and he left me there. And I spent another month and did it again. He came and he got me. I was about 6 months pregnant and just full-fledged addiction. And so I came home. I came to Port Alberni. I went home with him and I left. Well, I had to be physically removed because we got in a fist fight. So the police picked me up and I asked them to drop me off like a block away from my grandparents. So I showed up at my grandparents, like 6 months pregnant, I hadn't seen them in 3 years because I was on the streets, and they gave me a bed to sleep in. And the rest has been mostly the rest has been my recovery journey. I've been in trauma therapy for 14 years. I see Dee Parsonishi. She's amazing in Port Alberni. I did a lot of AA, NA, whatever I could do. And I have an 11-year-old son. I also have a 6-year-old at home right now. And then I've got my 2 older kids, very affected by my addiction. My son is an active heroin user. He's 26 and he shoots dope like his mom did, I guess. I'm not sure. And I've tried to help him. There's not much else I can say about that. I've had him in my house multiple times. I've cleaned him up multiple times. And right now he's in a wheelchair and stayed with me for a month. Now he's back in his basement suite, shooting dope again, I think. So, like, I know there's been a bit of it. So, yeah. Now, I relapsed for 4 days about 2 years ago. It's been 2 years. I'm not going to make up a bunch of reasons why I did it, but part of it is because I broke my femur and had to be put on heroin dose of Dilaudid. So as soon as I was on that for 3 months, and I just turned back to my old self, right? And picked up the crack pipe shortly after. And so I used for 4 days. I'm really grateful that that happened to me, that I survived it, because now I have a better view of addiction that I can see. When I was 10 years clean, because I made it to 9.5 and sober, and I don't smoke weed or anything. I always kind of thought that it would still be good, right? It would still be fun. And well, that's definitely not true. And I had the worst 4 days of my life. So I definitely don't plan on relapsing again. And I don't have to think back 10 years to remember how terrible it is. Just a couple years. That's really fresh in my mind still. So bridging the gap is something during COVID. I've got a really bad memory for exact times, but COVID started around the middle of March, and I think it was the beginning of April, or maybe even right in March, that my friend Deb, she runs the alcohol prevention for youth in town here, and I were talking about, oh no, like, what about the vulnerable population? Who's going to go see them? The outreach workers and stuff aren't going to work, right? Like, no nurses are going down there. We're not allowed. They're not, they have no way to wash their hands. What can we do? So we just started organizing all sorts of stuff. And I obviously said, well, I'll go, right? I'm a peer. I don't have to follow your guys' rules. So I will go and I'll check it out. And we started bringing hand sanitizer and soap and stuff, even though like nobody had running water. So I think that's why we went with the hand sanitizer. But then I seen how people were living. So Sage has some pictures she'd like to, I'd like to show. A couple are from my son's apartment, and some of the other ones are where I started showing up. Some of them are recent, like this one, because I don't take pictures of people. I'm not for the fame of this. That's not how I work. So what do we do with the picture? Does it just change on its own?
sorry, I was muted. I'll just click through if you want.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Mm.
Can do that.
Mm.
And too, I want to say if any of these pictures are triggering for anybody, we do have support, and if you want to reach out to me for that support, we can do that too. Oh, this is outside.
Okay, so at some point I went from hand sanitizer to wanting to give out harm reduction, which usually I was against, kind of, because I didn't want to be triggered by all the pipes and stuff. So I have a partner, her name is Brandy too. So a lot of times we get called the Brandys. She is a peer as well. Not quite as of a bottom as mine was, right? Like she wasn't quite as bad as I was, but she's a peer nonetheless, and hasn't used for years. So her and I started talking, and I felt really passionate about it. I get passionate about lots of stuff when it comes to addiction, for sure. And we started getting harm reduction to give out pipes and give out all the harm reduction stuff, right? So it was really hard at first to because what should have happened is we should have just went to the local OPS and they would have given me a few supplies, but the few times I went there I was treated so badly that I just stopped going. And shortly after, Griffin started helping me by sending me boxes of harm reduction, and Brandy gets all the bags ready. So we make like straight shooter pipe kits and needle kits. And she puts them all in brown paper bags for me so that I don't have to look at them. And it's been, so we do snacks and the different kits. So that's been amazing. We go out twice a week now. So there's some we started going to like the Port Pub Hotel, and there's a few pictures of it. It's I couldn't believe it when we showed up there. We got let in. See, what's happened with my outreach is that a lot of the people I see on the street, I used to use with, right? So 15 years ago, not some, like I seen a couple in my little blip there 2 years ago, but a lot of them I lived with on the street, or we shared a bed, or we worked the streets together. These are women now that I go into their home and I sit with them and I give them their harm reduction, and I'll braid their hair, or I'll take care of their cat. And it's kind of like an in and out, like we don't stay too long, but okay, well, that just came in out of nowhere. So I started in COVID, then we started doing harm reduction. Can we flip through the pages? Thanks. So that's my son's place, and some of those, like, so we went to these different places, and this is how addicts live. Maybe not all of them, but like my son lives. When I went in there, I was finding like milk cartons from January that were rotten, that I remember from addiction that you blink and it's another month, right? And I get all weird around Christmas because I spent it on Main and Hastings. I spent it there, and so I'm not a super fan of being cold either. It just brings me back to where I was so desperate. And so I started with just showing up at, like, there's multiple places in town here. There's probably, I talked to probably about at least 50 a night. We only go out for a couple hours. We go out Wednesdays and Saturday nights. What we've leaned into, so we'll go out, we'll give snacks and socks and water and harm reduction. And that's how we started by just, and it was hard. Like it was really hard for me. And I've come a very long way because I've never been around it when I'm not using. Like I always thought that was such a bad idea. And it's not, it's not a bad idea. This is the best thing I've ever done in my life. Um, we went from handing out all these supplies to everyone to finding the ladies that I used to walk the street with, finding where they're staying. And that's where I put a lot of my effort in now is I'm on a first name basis. A lot of drug dealers and stuff, they invite me in their home. I sit with them. I sit with, I don't know how many people, at least a dozen or more, that it spread quickly that I'm a safe person, that they knew me from when I used to live in the doorway at the Beaufort, right? A lot of people knew me then. And if not, then like word gets out pretty fast. So I'm welcomed everywhere in Port Alberni into the different complexes and just by the people that are the most vulnerable here, living rough, living outside, living in the Freak Stack, which is that building there. But I really am passionate about sitting with people. And while I started doing this process and doing the harm reduction, because we started in March and we're still going strong, my husband is in recovery too. He's got 10 years clean and sober, and he couldn't even look at the condoms in the back of my trunk without being triggered to addiction, right? Like it's been a struggle to get his approval, so to speak, to do this work, but nothing's made me happier than doing it. So while him and I were talking, we're like, okay, Brandy, if anybody's going to figure out the solution to addiction, I think it's going to be you. So get on it. So I spent at least a couple months really trying to find out what would be a cure for addiction, right? What would be a good start? Like, how do you help someone who's selling their self for like a $10 blowjob or a $5 one? How do you connect with her or him? You know, like they're bleeding everywhere and they're just so desperate. And that's what I was, right? Like I was so in so much pain and I just needed the next one to make it a little bit more bearable, right? So I'd walk up and down the streets in my hometown. Yeah, there was a lot of pain and there still is. So now I watch these girls and they're younger and they're doing what I did. And I've really tried to like, what could I possibly do to help them? And it's called self-worth. And that's what I found is the solution to addiction is like someone that's selling themselves for like $10 or $5 or robbing their grandma or stealing this or stealing that has little to zero self-worth. But I know how to give it. So Brandy and I are out, and how we've really helped, and you can see it, it's beautiful, is helping people find their own self-worth. And it's so simple. It's like Gabor Mate says, right, compassion and it's remembering his name, it's remembering their favorite treat, it's bringing them the socks that they asked for last time that you didn't have, it's running and buying them a Blizzard. We've been bringing certain people ice cream twice a week for months. And you can feel it. It's almost like magic or something when you can sit with someone at their worst, so to speak, and share an ice cream with them, right? And like I used to use and walk the street with her. And now I go into her home and could wash her dishes, or it's amazing. And like, it's not going to cure Pearl Bernie's addiction problem, obviously, but it's a really good start. So I kind of already spoke about my typical night of, there's a lot of people living rough here. I'd say I'm not really good with numbers either. So I definitely see between like 20 and 50 people each time we go out, unless if something bad happens, right? Like for me, bad is if I'm triggered, then we're out of there. So my safety comes first, because if I pick up the pipes, then none of this is happening. And I'm aware of that. So Brandy's really good at my cues, because I'll start flailing and stuff, and we'll usually wrap it up pretty quick, right? And then we'll go for a drive, we'll get a tea or what have you, and debrief. I really struggle around teens and youth, and lately I've been running from them, kind of, because I don't want to look at that, because that affects every part of my trauma, right? From being a kid to being a teen, to having kids, to having teens, to being that mom that uses with her kids. I don't, or never did, but just that's, if I'm witnessing all that in one night, like I gotta go, because I just can't deal with that. And it will totally triggers me, and I'm all like rocking and stuff back in trauma. So I have, because of the ORC funding and stuff, I have Alana Thompson, I think her name is, and she'd be really cool if I like knew who she worked for and stuff. She phones me every Monday at 11 and we talk. I got her through doing frontline work. She came to the CAP meetings and stuff, and I've been working with her for months now. So it takes a toll, but I started sharing in CAP meetings like what I was seeing, right? And how not okay it is, right? Like, so you don't have running water and you have nowhere to go to the bathroom. Like, how is that? We're supposed to be washing our hands and nobody will even give you a hose. A lot of it I really struggled with. And I started talking about it in a CAP meeting, and a lady, CAT, Community Action Team meeting. And Ellen from ACAUS here, the Alberni Women's Association Services, something like that. She came with me. I've had, because I didn't know how to describe it enough, like as to what happens. I just know that when I was in addiction, that if anybody would have sat beside me, that would have been really cool, because I was very alone, right? And I can't imagine that the people that I'm helping out there feel any differently than how I felt, right? Losing your kids to welfare, walking the streets, like desperate, super suicidal, super everything. And it Yeah, so I'm giving a gift that I'd wished I'd gotten, I guess you could say. And so I brought the executive director of ACOS out with me, and her mind was blown. She came out 3 times. She could better speak to what I was seeing than me, right? Like, she's an executive director, so she knows how to talk. I'm not super good at it. And so she would bring them. There was a lot of action that came out of what she had seen. I later took our MLA out. She wanted to see what it was like, and I told her I'd take her out, but we're not doing it for fame. We're not taking pictures, and you'll be my pack horse, and I'll show you what it's really like. And she came with me, and she was beautiful and brilliant, and Josie, and she was awesome. And I had her for about 3 hours. And during that time, we had to go to the hospital because my son, we're not like super sure what happened to him, but he's in a wheelchair now because of it. So his feet, I don't know if they're ready to explode or what. And I had to run to the hospital, and I brought her with me. And I think that she's got a good idea now. And we talk via Facebook and stuff like that. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that. I know that there's money and there's grants and stuff for doing peer outreach and peer work, but I wanted to address my city. Like, I wanted to, this is Port Alberni, and I really think that Port Alberni should be helping Port Alberni. And so how did that happen? I think I just said it, that the mayor and them should be paying for what I do. Right now, it's been the community action team that has just been giving me a bit of money. They don't pay for Brandy. So I've had people through the community action team that are so amazing and supportive, and wrote out like a proposal for me because I wanted to bring it to the city. Like, I want to give them a chance to work with me to help clean it up. And so I got my friend on the community action team to write up a proposal of what it would cost for, so I think there should be someone going out 5 days a week here, 5 nights a week, doing the same thing, checking in. I also like really quickly learned that nobody else was doing this, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not a contest. But to be able to, like, there's a lot of people here that have seen me at my worst, so they're completely inspired, and I give them a piece of hope, right? And I would much rather give them a piece of hope than still be using, and like, I'm not into it. And so it took a while to get in with the city because apparently they're busy, I guess. So it took a while, and I sent them the proposal. They like had to rebook twice, and the second time I told them that I wasn't coming back for a third time, that if they don't want to meet with me, like, that's fine, I'll carry on. But we met the next day. So I showed up kind of like this with Zoom with the city council members and told them a bit of my story and what I was doing, and I got a solid yes, right? So they're gonna fund me. I don't know how long that takes, probably forever, but I really got to speak with the mayor and tell them what I'm doing, and like how beneficial it is, right? To take someone to their appointment, to yeah, I'm just really grateful that I can do this. And I couldn't do anything without my partner, Brandy. She comes with me everywhere. I don't know. I think that's all I got to say.
That's
That
awesome. Yeah. Do you, are you?
questions?
Yeah, questions. Does anyone have any questions for Brandy? You can feel free to also put them in the chat or comments as well.
Brandy, I've got a question. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I just find you so inspiring, and you're such a strong matriarch. And it takes a lot of courage to do what you've done, you know, to become politically involved and to take all those steps you need to. You know, it inspires me for my own communities. I'm thinking of my reserves. And my question for you is, how is the experience, or how have the local First Nations responded to the work? And is there a relationship there?
Yeah. More than half are First Nations that I go and I sit with. You know, there's like troubled homeless people here that stand and wait for me, right? And they don't even know what day it is, right? But they know that I'm coming probably that day just to give me a hug. There's definitely like more than half of who I see are First Nations. I just found out I am First Nations, so it's just been weird. Sorry. It's just been like a few weeks, so I'm really trying to wrap my head about like, why would they lie in the birth certificate? Like, what is happening to my life? So First Nations is a weird topic for me today.
Welcome home, sister.
Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other questions?
Hi, Brandy. It's Monty. I'm sorry, very very honored to hear that story from you. Yep, very honored. Very thankful to hear your story. It's pretty powerful. My question to you is, as you've told your story over time, do you find that sort of the narrative of your story changes a bit? Like, is, you know, depending maybe on the context, or like, has the telling of your story empowered you? Because it probably certainly has empowered others.
I think I'm mostly doing it for others right now. That maybe not. It changes every time I speak, and it's helped me to look at the young girls and the guys out there that if I made it, you can make it. Because I haven't met a Brandy yet, right? I haven't met like incest and abuse and torture. Like, my life was disgusting, really disgusting. And haven't, so I can really, and what's cool is that I don't have to share my story with them, that our energy, like I can sit on the bench with a woman and our energy knows that we're the same, right? We're just on different sides right now. But that it's really strange. Like, I do believe in God, and like, you can feel it when I'm out there. And I think that's what Josie, the MLA, and Ellen really seemed, they call it trust, that the most unapproachable people, and I'm unapproachable in my work and stuff. Like, I've always been told that nobody hugs me here, like nobody would. I've been here 7 years, but the most unapproachable person on the street, like, will run and give me a hug. And I didn't understand why until my girlfriend said, you're both unapproachable, therefore you're approachable, right? And I know that my story is so powerful, and that's why I'm here, right? That's why I am doing this. Part of me wanted to like hold all my goodness in and just keep it and not share it, right? But living a life of trauma and stuff, like this shit gets hard, right? Like, how do people carry on that didn't have a trauma counselor for like 12, 14 years? Like, because it's really difficult. I don't know, but I'm willing to walk with someone. And that's why I approach the city for like more money, right? Like more, I need to be out there more. So if I can get funding for like 2 hours, 5 days a week, that means like one of those times I can grab my friend who had a stroke in her addiction. Maybe we can go for a walk, right? But I can't be doing all these things for free, if that makes sense. So like I just with Brandy, and we're just waiting for the funding so that we can do more, right? And thanks, Monty, for saying that. Thank you. It's hard. Like, I'm going to be wiped because I shared it, and I only shared a tiny bit of my backstory.
Yeah, totally. If anyone has questions too and they want to put them in the chat, please do. I was just reading, just so folks know, there's been a couple links shared about CAT, as well as information about, it looks like rural Indigenous overdose grants as well. And then, yeah, everyone's, Brandy, I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but everyone's just saying, like, thanks for sharing your story and truth. You're an amazing speaker. For all your work and commitment. Thank you. You're so strong, so courageous. And thank you for the wonderful and compassionate work that you do. And that you give people goosebumps. Thank you for everything. Yeah, is there any other questions that anyone would like to ask Brandy, or comments? Yeah. Your labor of love comes at a cost. You need to be funded and supported. I agree. So another comment. Yeah. How do you, okay, here's a great question from Douglas, one of our other speakers that will be speaking on Saturday. Douglas is wondering, how do you handle boundaries? Like, if when someone is at an active addiction shows up at your door asking for money because the dealer is after them or something like that.
Well, hopefully they don't have my address.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a good thing why I'm kind of unapproachable still. Like, people don't mess with me out there. They don't. I have, I've got so many different boundaries are one thing with people that I work with. Of course, I've given my friend $10 because she's barfing, right? It's like, it's at any given time, like I have to like weigh it out, right? Nobody's going to show up my door saying their dealer's after them, because I know when they're lying, because I lie. Used to, right? So I know that you're lying, and so nobody would do that actual thing. But I carry change, right? Why not? I have it. And you know what's weird is, like, I've given the lots for like hot chocolate or something like that, and I'll give them a toonie and watch them go get a hot chocolate, right? Like, I don't know. My husband makes pretty good money, so
Mm,
it's definitely not right for everyone. And I don't give people money just no, right? I'll give you $2 to go get your hot chocolate. I'll give one girl like $2 too, right? That's so messed up that I haven't seen her lately, but like her toenails are like that long, right? And she just like, I don't know, man, it's awful. So I'll give her a couple bucks but I usually bring candy and stuff, right? And that's what they want. They don't want your tuna sandwich. They want a cookie, right? They want sweetness. And I did too, right? When I cleaned up for like 2-3 years, that's all I did was eat sugar, anything with sugar in it. But how would I normally set boundaries is just not bring the money
mm,
and offer them a chocolate bar instead.
mm. You mentioned something I was curious about is you mentioned that like the first and foremost, the thing that you do is that you make sure you're safe. So if you're feeling like you said your partner is really good about watching, and if you're feeling like you're not safe, you guys will leave and you'll get a tea and uh, just like talk to each other about debrief about what's happened. I'm just curious if like
Oh,
if you have advice for like strategies or advice for folks who maybe are doing work for frontline work to avoid like burnout or things like that, or what do you do that you think is the most beneficial for that?
Okay. So what, I don't know how many frontline workers and outreach workers are in recovery, but if there's any here, like please get in touch with me so that, because it would be nice if we had a group, right? Or we had that, because it's different. So because I'm in recovery, if I'm feeling like I want to grab Buddy's pipe, I'm gone. Like I run to my car and take off, because my entire life depends on me not picking up. And I know that, right? So I don't know, but Brandy and I will be, you can kind of just tell, like we just in and out, right? In and out is our role, right? Like in and out of these people's houses, because you stay too long, right? Then you're seeing just too much. And that's when our problems have come. We've done surveys for certain organization because it was nice, right? As long as it's a nice survey, right? I'll do it. But I brought them and just sitting there waiting for a few people to finish up writing and stuff. Like I can't do that. I need to be on a mission, right? So I'll go in and sit with my friend, and as I'm sitting or holding her hand, or right, like it's pretty powerful and I can feel that, but it's only taken like 5 minutes tops, right? I can't look at this stuff every day. I can't sit in it every day, or I will be it again. My counselor said I can get in the mud but not stay in the mud, right? I can go in and out. I can't stay, or I will. And burnout and stuff, you got to have people to talk to. Like we need people to talk to, right? So if we're not in recovery and we can't go to AA or something, then there needs to be some sort of network that, and I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to be part of it, like a debrief, a weekly, right? Because the stuff that we're seeing out there, like, like no normal human would ever walk in the places that we go to, right? Nobody would. So like we need people to talk to. We need some sort of network that outreach other frontline workers can just log on Friday at noon or something like that and just talk about all the garbage that they've seen. So if you don't have anybody to talk to, then if I didn't have anybody to debrief with, I would be living on the street with them. That's my advice. Like I have to stay on top of it every day.
Yeah, thank you. I just did share the Google Doc again if anyone wants to if connect via that way, but maybe Brandy, is there a way that folks can get in touch with you that would work for you? Or
So am I
Yeah.
on there already?
I can put your information on there if that works for you.
No,
Yeah.
totally.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Is there any other questions or comments for Brandy? Okay. Well, if there isn't any, for those who may have joined a little late or who maybe missed part of the talk, this is a recorded talk, so I am more than happy to send it to anybody who might have missed the previous. Yeah, and Melinda says, I would love a workers in recovery type support group. I long for that frequently. So yeah, I'll put a space maybe on the Google Doc with Brandy's info, and like that might be a place where we can hopefully connect with that. And yeah, I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Brandy, for sharing and being here. I'm so glad that we happened to find you and you find us, and I don't even know how that worked, but it just worked out so wonderfully. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and sharing with us. Yeah, you did an amazing job. I am being reminded that there is a poll if people want to fill out a poll with 2 questions about today. Jenny, I can't make it work, so I don't know why it's not working for me, so I might have to just do it. Yeah, I might just have to do it again. Unless maybe if Hermione's here, she might be able to launch it too. But they're just 2 questions about your experience today. But yeah, I don't know why. It says I'm logged in on another device. It says my session is inactive. That's what it's giving me.
Can you try make me a co-host and I could try launch it, maybe?
Sure. Thank you.
See if it works.
Yay. Yeah.
Only one poll comes up. Okay. Oh, sorry, wait. Oh, I got it. 1 minute and I will launch that.
Sweet. Oh, that's so good.
Okay, there's 2 little questions there. By the way, this isn't how you get entered in the gift card draw. We have an evaluation at the end that's for that, so FYI.
Can everyone see the questions? Is it working?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
How do I find them again?
The questions?
Yeah.
Oh, did it want to go away? Well, you don't have to answer your own questions.
Oh.
Yeah, this is for you.
All right.
We'll share this with you, Brandy, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just wanted to trying to rig it so it looks no.
Lord.
Yeah, and then after you filled out the poll, if you would like to leave and come back, our next talk is at our next talk's at 1:15. Is that right? Am I right?
Yes. Yes, you're right. It's 1:15.
Okay, sweet. It's 1:15, and we'll be hearing from Rochelle, who is a lovely peer in Nanaimo. Yeah, support group is a great idea, Brandy. We have lots of people wanting that, so that's awesome. Hopefully we can.
How do I do it? I don't even know how.
Well, if we have everyone share their info on the Google Doc, then I think it would just be a matter of finding a time that works for everybody, kind of thing. But we could definitely connect about that after if you would like.
That'd be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully everybody does that, and then I will. I'll contact Sage on Monday or something. right?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, can I go
That's
for a
awesome.
smoke now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks so
Perfect.
much.
Thanks so much.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Claps,
Thank
claps
you.
for Brandy. Claps for Brandy.
Yay.
Claps.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, if you filled out the poll, thank you so much. And you can feel free to come back at 1:15 for our next talk, or if you want to stay, I guess I might be turning my Zoom off for a little bit, but I can also keep it going. I don't know. I don't know what people usually do. What's the protocol? I guess I
Yes,
can
we-
stop recording.
Okay.
Sometimes you can